Hare Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Where is the speaker? Oh, right there. Okay. So we'll start. Yeah. Om Agyanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we have all come here knowing very well, or we have gathered here knowing very well that our interest is in hearing Hari Katha. Hari Katha. What is Hari Katha? Hari Katha, especially if we want to understand it from the perspective of a gathering of people, then Hari Katha is where we hear about the wonderful qualities, activities, glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The great saint, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, He had he made great efforts, tremendous efforts, to try and bring the wonderful descriptions of the Supreme Lord to all the members of human society all over the globe. In the later part of the 20th century, he was able to reach out to many seekers, those who wanted to understand the essence of spirituality and the essence of existence. He was able to reach out to hundreds upon thousands of them directly and through his various writings. Since then, since the time of Srila Prabhupada, or since the time that he explained this Vedic wisdom, the Vedic philosophy in the English language, so many human beings have accepted it to be their greatest fortune to remember Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes, in a lighter vein, people consider the Hare Krishna movement or people feel very grateful to the Hare Krishna movement because it has allowed those who are vegetarian to find food all over the globe. And it is true. Sometimes the food is free and occasionally you have to give a donation. Food that is free from or that does not involve pain to any living entities. So in ISKCON, we use the word prasad because that is the term used to describe the offerings of food that are shared amongst the members of ISKCON and shared amongst the larger community. To help people understand what is prasad, we sometimes call it as sanctified food. Sanctified means that which has been purified or cleansed of subtle impressions. That is what is sanctified. Like this, if the altar is through certain processes, if this wooden structure through certain processes is cleansed of subtle vibrations or is purified, then it will be called as a sanctified place or a sanctified structure. So food became sanctified food. Prasad is a little more than just sanctified food. Prasad or prashad is sanctified food that brings the mercy of the Lord to every person. So simply sanctified food would mean that one becomes purified. However, when we address that food as prasad, the implicit understanding is that we are purified through the mercy of the Lord. And not only are we purified through the mercy of the Lord, but we are also the recipients of the mercy of the Lord. We can actually consider ourselves to be an abode where the Lord's mercy resides now. And therefore, many great thinkers of the past and the present, they try to encourage all of us who honor prasad. They encourage us to be a via medium. They encourage us to be a vehicle, an instrument, so that this mercy that has come to us in the form of prasad can also be shared with others. This is a revolutionary thought, because generally in our own practical experience, when we have prasad, then we think that now, after having good prasad, we can all go to sleep, take rest. Isn't it? So many a times, before we take our rest at night, or maybe we take some rest during the daytime, we perform the ritual of having prasad. And it's all right if you do that. However, if we want to justify the word prasad, then it means that now we should try to let that mercy flow through us. Yes? So, Krishna Prasad. So people, they feel that this is a great contribution of the Hare Krishna movement. That is good. At least there is some tangible acceptance, or there is some acceptance because of some tangible experiences that they are having in their lives. However, there is more that is available to people. We have so many books, we have classes that go on, we conduct so many seminars, there are so many sessions of Harinam Sankirtan that we do, and we would want people to participate in it. What is the reason? The reason is that that helps us find bliss in life. I know it sounds a little difficult to accept, because many a times reading and listening to discourses can be very tortuous. It is true. What is torture? Torture is when we are not comfortable with what is being given to us. Like if you tell a child that you must do X, Y, Z, and the child says no. You say, no, you should. Don't torture me. That could be the response. So whenever we are not very comfortable, we are not very receptive, then that which can give us bliss doesn't give us bliss. It can give rise to so many other negative emotions. Hence, consciousness is very important. Understanding what it means to be conscious. Srila Prabhupada gives a hint about how we have to overcome certain lower tendencies that we have in life. Can I give a suggestion so that we don't have an echo here? Yeah? Could we put this speaker on top of this table? See if that works. Yeah, take that table. Hare Krishna. Yeah, we could lower down the volume now so that there's no resonance. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Is that better? Yeah. See, I was inspired because I'm in a room full of engineers. So, consciously, and when you say consciously, it means that we have to use our intelligence, buddhi. So, consciously, we have to participate in that which we understand will give us wonderful benefits, even though we may not be experiencing it right now. Correct? Like a cold shower in the hot days gives us happiness. Yes? But when it's winter, maybe you'd want the water to be a little more warm. True? However, if you have a very important meeting right after your shower, maybe you'd want the water not to be too warm. You'd want the water to be refreshing. What does that mean? Although, typically on any other day, you'd want to have warm water because it's cold. It's a cold season, right? You need to be very, very focused in the meeting that comes just after your bath. And we know what warm water does. Warm water tells every single pore and every single nerve ending in your body, relax. Isn't it? If you're too tense, you take a warm shower, gives some relief. If you're too tired means there's a lot of activity that has happened, physically tired. So, according to how metabolism works, there are certain chemicals that have been produced in different parts of your body, and your tissues are not happy with it. It needs to be washed away as early as possible. So you take a warm water, you soak yourself in warm water. The blood circulation increases, it gets washed away. And as the blood circulation increases, it gives you a feeling of relief. And also, when the toxins are washed away, they go to the excretory organs of your body, you feel relieved. And hence, as soon as you've had that, you've soaked yourself in warm water. Sometimes if you're in a bathtub with warm water, you fall asleep right there. Or after the bath, if you hit the bed, if you have a very good sleep. So what happened here? When you have a meeting coming up, what happened here? You used your intelligence, you consciously made a decision that which is not so very comfortable for me in the uh, with respect to cold water in the cold season, still I will try and tolerate it. And sometimes there could be other reasons too, like Srila Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita, when he says, Tam titikshasva bharata, second chapter, he tells Sri Arjun that the experiences which are born because of the senses interacting with the sense objects, they can either give you pleasure or pain. Matra sparshasthu kaunteya shita ushna sukha dukkhata. So they'll give you either one of the dual experiences. You may get swept away by those experiences and lose your focus. True? You are in a rush and suddenly the traffic lights go red. You get a little excited. You could either get nervous or angry, or you could be a little agitated. Correct? Extreme cases, you could also get into a road rage. So the experiences that you have when the senses come in contact with the sense objects. What are the senses here? Your eyes. What is the sense object? The traffic light turned red. So that they will give you experiences which could take away your focus from your goal. How is that? Although you are very agitated and you are stressed that you would like to immediately, as soon as it turns green, you'd like to reach your destination. What has happened is you carry that experience to your workplace or to your destination. And there, if you don't get a good parking space immediately because you're in a rush, you get more agitated. Correct? After that, because you're rushing to that place, to that destination, after that, what will happen? You may feel the adrenaline. So you may be sweating. That makes you a little more miserable. You may be flushed. That also kind of affects you. So what happens? All of this is taking away your focus. If you had been on time, and if you had walked, at your normal pace to your workplace, you'd be in a very normal mood. You'd be in a very happy mood. But here you are, it will take you 5 to 10 minutes to be really focused. It could be even 5 to 10 seconds. 5 to 10 seconds, in Mumbai, I'm from Mumbai, in 5 to 10 seconds, if I'm either early or late by 5 to 10 seconds, it could mean that I lose 3 minutes on the local train. 3 minutes later to catch a connection. So if you want to stay focused, even though you're in a situation like that, you have to learn to be very tolerant. You have to learn to stop all those emotions and all the thoughts that are generated when you hit the traffic signal and it turns red. It's very difficult to do it. You may read so many times, you may understand it's tolerant, you may try to breathe in and breathe out, still it's going to be difficult. Why? Because that is how the senses and sense objects, when they interact, when there's an interaction, there has to be an interaction. Sometimes there is no interaction. Sometimes you're driving, you look at the traffic lights, but you're in your own zone, you just go through, and then you realize, oh my God, was it red or green? So that happens. There is no interaction. And because there is no interaction, later on, because the senses are now interacting with certain other sense objects, there is a different reaction. The senses have passed. The eyes have gone beyond the traffic lights. Now what do the eyes see? The eyes see that you are the only person on the road and there's no one else around you. So then you wonder, did I Did I do something that I should not have done? You see, this is how the material world, moment to moment, brings us into situations where you have to express yourself. And Krishna says, Arjuna, learn to be tolerant. Agama apaino anityaha. This will come, this will go. This is temporary right now. Why? Because there is another situation building up for you, which will come, which will go, and then there will be another situation that is building up for you. And thus, hours, praharas, muhurtas, a day goes by, 24 hours goes by. It's not just seasons that, oh, in the summer you have to be tolerant, in the winter you have to be tolerant. Most probably at every intersection you will have to be tolerant if you're in a rush. Yes? So it is an essential tool that everyone needs practically every day of their life. Correct? So Krishna is encouraging Arjun that, hey Arjun, try to be tolerant. How? How can one be tolerant? Being tolerant means you should not be distracted from your goal or destination. Because that is you have decided that that is your destination. You are the person. No one else in the world cares. The sun, the moon, the planets, the plants, the beasts, the birds, your family, no one else has any idea of it. Only you are in direct experiential, experiential situation right there. So it's just you. You are the only karta. You are the only doer right there. And that is a field of activity. That is a kshetra. And only you are well aware of your kshetra. And if you lose focus of your kshetra means a field of activity. And if you are not, if you kind of get distracted from a field of activity, you and I, the doer, is the loser. And time does not go back. We don't have a time machine where we can go back to the future or go back to the past or something like that. Unless and until you eat Chavan Prash from Chavan Muni. Very rare phenomenon. Typically, it never goes back. Time doesn't go back. Time doesn't wait for anyone. And unfortunately, all of us have a fixed amount of time to use. In this particular form, this is a prarabdha. This is what we have accumulated from certain past activities. This is our accumulation of results, and we have a limited amount of time in that. So being conscious means being aware that I am the doer and hence I am the loser if I get distracted. I am the doer and hence I will be the achiever if I am focused. Now, does that sound to be very stressful in life? Therefore, we need a guardian angel. We need somebody who can bless us. Hence, in philosophy, it is important to understand the role of the Supreme Lord. If you are trying to make all ends meet just considering ourselves to be the doer, then we are not realizing that we did not create our field of activity. We just chose what would be our field of activity. We did not create it. It's like the Monopoly game, you know. We did not create all those things on the board. We chose to throw the dice. Now, where we are going to land depends on how the dice lands, what numbers it gives us. However, we can only play the game of Monopoly on that board and not beyond it. Somebody created that game. Somebody made that board, gave us fixed places to move. Now, if that someone has given us, has rigged the game in our favor, then life can be fun. Yeah, if we get to know the person who created that game and we are like, hey, what are some of the ways that I can always be on top? And that person will say, okay, these places you should try. And then we have to be creative enough like Shakuni to get the numbers that we need. Shakuni Mama from Mahabharata. Very good at getting the numbers that he wants by throwing the dice. I mean, he must have really gone into some Zen meditation to develop those skills, really, really very meditative. And sometimes we think that he knew magic. Magic is basically a sleight of hand. A good magician is someone who's practiced n number of times such that everyone else feels they do not understand how things are happening, although it is just sleight of hand. And that was Shakuni. He spent so many hours when he was in prison, because at one point of time he was in prison. Again and again he would throw the dice, he would kind of feel it within the palm of his hand, roll it, throw it, roll it, throw it, see how he could manipulate it and throw it with what kind of force. I mean, he used all physics and mechanics and everything there, how the torque would work and everything, velocity, motion, very focused. He got the benefit. He was one of the best known throwers of the dice game. Yeah. So when we are in this game of life, when we have that board in front of us, the field of activity, the kshetra, we are the only people, I, you, we may share certain portions of the field of activity that we have. However, only I know what I want from that field of activity. Only you know what you want from that field of activity. It is your kshetra. It is your goal. You get distracted, you will not get the benefit. You are focused, you will achieve your goal. Yes. So that is how we have to be tolerant. Tolerant such that we don't get distracted from the goal that we have chosen consciously. So Krishna is wanting Arjuna to learn that. He's wanting Arjuna to be good at it. Yes. Who is the creator of this field of activity? Krishna. So if we can understand how this kshetra works, we can try and see this field of activity through the eyes of Krishna. We try to be in sync with Krishna, which is called as becoming one with Krishna. In the sense, we see what Krishna sees. To the extent our field of activity is concerned, we will not be able to see everything that Krishna sees, because Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So if we are able to see what Krishna sees, how Krishna sees our field of activity, that is called as Krishna consciousness. How does Krishna see this field of activity for me? What is his plan? Because he is the supremely merciful Lord. Or in plain words, when you're conscious of Krishna, it is called as Krishna consciousness. To a crowd that has studied engineering, physical sciences, the understanding is able to see exactly what Krishna visualizes when he is looking at our kshetra. Yes. So Hari Katha is based on this premise. See, in the beginning we defined what is Hari Katha according to the parameters of a gathering where there is glories, activities of Krishna being described, the Supreme Lord being described. So Hari Katha from that perspective, already assumes such a gathering where we have come, it already assumes that this is the frame of consciousness we have come in. And if this is not the frame of consciousness we have come in, then there could be a couple of experiences that we could have. One, somewhere we'll lose the train of thought, we'll lose the thread, and we'll be distracted. Two, we could be exceptionally bored. Three, we could be wondering when it is going to get over. A few experiences like that. However, if we come with that premise, if we come with that preparation, that in Harikatha, I'm going to hear the glorification of Krishna. However, for that hearing of glory, for that kind of hearing, I need to prepare myself. How? I'm going to see what is available to me in the next couple of minutes, in the next couple of hours, whatever time I'm spending in this gathering where there is Harikatha going on, where there is this glorification going on. I'm going to see what is it that I want to achieve in this gathering. The person next to me would most probably would also want to be doing that. Therefore, when such a community of really passionate yet simple-minded, focused people come together, it is a very potent atmosphere. Can you imagine a room full of people who are very, very enthusiastic about their startups? How would that environment be? Yes? So when we come for Harikatha, basically that is how it is. I just I'm trying to see if you can relate to it. It's like a gathering of individuals, each one of them has come with their startup idea and they want it to be successful. They want people to invest in it. Yes? And in that Harikatha, then when we are primed to accept Harikatha in that uh, mode of consciousness, then we hear the pastimes of Krishna. It is very relishable. It goes beyond just mental enjoyment. It is quite possible whenever we have heard Harikatha, we've heard of how there was a couple of individuals who were completely transformed. They had life-changing experiences. How is it that in our gathering we haven't had examples like that? We only quote examples of once upon a time. Isn't it? When we are making a presentation, we only do that. The potential is there. And the potential is not in how the speaker is presenting. It's not about the speaker, because the speaker has come with their own agenda. And if the speaker is also favorably prepared, if the speaker understands that there is a certain goal that the speaker has to achieve within that field of activity, that kshetra, then the speaker is very much focused. The speaker wants to get to that goal. So it's not about the speaker. Is it about the content? If you're focused just on the content, if you're focused on the speaker, then you're going to buy whatever is being given as a narrative to you. So there is no room for individual introspection there. Right? There is no distinction there. However, each one of us has a distinctive personality. So we need to have our own experiences. It cannot be similar to the person sitting next to you. Although sometimes uh, when we have such discourses, spontaneously we find that a large portion of the crowd simply claps because they feel that something very, very interesting has been said. However, each one of them, collectively, it seems to be a single response. However, each one of them has a very, very individualistic experience. Yes. So, we have come here for Hari Katha. I would like to narrate some wonderful activities of the Supreme Lord who descended into this material world to inaugurate and establish the process of purification for this present age of Kali. The process is Harinam Sankirtan, or chanting of the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How did he appear? He appeared as the son of a very, very devoted couple. Sachi Devi is the mother of Lord Gauranga, Lord Chaitanya, and Jagannath Mishra is his father. He has a sibling, an elder brother, of the name Vishwarup. Everyone is very happy. In fact, according to the biographers like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Vrindavan Das Thakur, the demigods, the devatas, and various other celestial beings, they descended to offer their respects to the Supreme Lord. Up till now, the only darshan they were having of the Supreme Lord was on social media. However, they got the news. He's coming to our town. Chaturmukhi Brahma's town. The four-headed Brahma, his town, this material universe. So they descended. Just as sometimes if you come to know that a certain personality who you are very attached to is flying into Los Angeles, then you sit in your cars and try to travel to Los Angeles. So the Devas, they understood that, oh, he's appeared in Mayapur, Nadia. So they sat in their cars, their vehicles, and they came here. And whenever they would get time from their busy schedule, they try to come to Mayapur and see the Lord perform his childhood pastimes. Bala Leela. And Lord Gauranga, as a little child, perfectly knew how to attract everyone's hearts. He knew it very perfectly. In fact, at one point of time, two thieves were trying to kidnap him. I mean, they were thieves, but somehow they got so attracted to him, they felt that we should become kidnappers now. What did they do? They picked him up and they said, "Oh, little child, we are your uncles. We are your family friends, and we are going to give you nice sandesh, sweets. Or you can have kola, bananas." Now, if you're from Bengal, those really special bananas that are there, in today's times you can get that online. However, if you're in Bengal and you have those bananas, it is amrita, nectar. You have to know what I'm speaking about. Otherwise, you'll think like bananas, okay. What's so? If you're a Bengali, like Bengali, blooded Bengali, and you have the opportunity to have that kala, that banana, it's impossible that you won't relish it. If somebody were to give you the entire treasure of the world, you would say, first I'll eat that and take that later on too. Sandesh. Bengalis know the art of making sandesh. Others have learnt it too. But Bengalis, it's in their blood. Because, they've spent so much time on the banks of the Ganga. The banks of the Ganga is the sand on the banks are very, very soft. So they know the texture of softness. So when they make sandesh, the sweet from broken milk, it's a wonder that it does not crumble in your hands, in your fingers, but as soon as you put it on your tongue, it melts away. That is the true lakshana, or that is the quality of a sandesh. If it doesn't melt away, then it is durdesh, not sandesh. It is something a little further away from sandesh. Now, what would a child want? Can you imagine a child having something like that seems to be a candy and it simply melts in your mouth? A child doesn't want to have anything too chewy. These kidnappers knew their business. Therefore, I said, that when they saw Lord Gauranga, when they saw this little child, they were, we have to kidnap him. They had no idea why they were feeling so attracted to the child. At the same time, because they were kidnappers, they felt that it is their holy dharma to seek some benefit out of the situation, get some money. Things happen like that in life, isn't it? Like if you are chanting at the same time, you get an important call on the phone, then you're like, okay, still there. Things happen like that. Because chanting is so attractive, you know that. If you give it up in the middle of the round, there are consequences. So you hold on to that bait, you complete this call, and then you come back to that attractive chanting business. Life. That is how life is, correct? In fact, sometimes it's difficult, like you're chanting Hare Krishna and Mahaprasad comes, you're like, okay, can I eat with my left hand like that with a spoon? People are so innovative. They have learned to use a spoon with just their index finger and the rest of the fingers inside the bead bag. Very innovative. Life, things happen in life. What can you do? So you can understand that they are feeling, they kind of cannot stop themselves from wanting to associate with this little child. And it's a very interesting situation for them, because they are absolutely detached people. A kidnapper cannot be attached to anything except, exactly. Here they are having this experience that they are very much attracted to this child. At the same time, they cannot give up their attachment to getting money. So within their minds, they're thinking, we are going to take away this child. Oh, this child is so beautiful. We are going to steal away this child. Oh, this child smiles so wonderfully. We are going to run away with this child. Oh my God, just look at the wonderful limbs of this child, the features of this child. They're constantly oscillating between that which is their nature and that which is their inherent nature. They're constantly, oscillating between their acquired nature and inherent nature. The inherent nature is that a spirit soul gets attracted to Krishna. Hiranyakashipu is attracted to Narasimhadev. At that time, he's like, where is Narasimhadev? Where is Narasimhadev? Is he here? Is he here? Let Vishnu come. But as soon as he sees Narasimhadev, he cannot take his eyes off Narasimhadev. He could not give up his nature, his acquired nature. Acquired nature was that he wanted to fight with Narasimhadev. He wanted to finish off Narasimhadev. So this is what happens in conditional life. There is this constant struggle between our inherent nature and our acquired nature. Kidnap him. And finally, after hours and hours of... see, they are very good at that job. Now, in Mumbai, this is what happened with our temple in Mumbai. The Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Mandir, ISKCON Chowpatty, is on a side street. There are parking spaces on that street. If you are, if you consider yourself to be very fortunate because you found a parking space at night, please be warned, most probably the next morning you won't find your car there. Where would your car be? By midnight, it would have crossed the border into Gujarat. By early morning, it would be disassembled and various parts would be sent to various destinations all over the country. Now, if you're lucky enough, if you know somebody on that street and that somebody knows the police, then there is a possibility that you may get back your car because they know whom to contact. They know who are the people behind this, but they cannot do much without evidence. So they will send in a word like, this person whose car is missing, if you know anything about it, please return it back because it's a personal matter. So the car can come back. It's possible. Yes? So why I narrated this story is because I wanted you to know how the crime world in Mumbai works. That wasn't the reason. I was narrating this so that we are aware at how good these people are at their jobs. It's a well-oiled system. These kidnappers are very good at what they do. However, for hours they were just running away with the child on their shoulder. Hours together. And finally, when they could not run anymore, they're like, oh my God, we've been running from dawn to dusk. And that wasn't ever required. Why did they do it? They had no idea. However, they liked doing it. They felt so nice giving this child a ride on their shoulders. They just kept on doing it. They went on with it. This is what happens when we actually, when our constitutional desire or a constitutional attraction to the Supreme Lord awakens. At the same time, the acquired nature is there. So the acquired nature kicked in and they're like, okay, we've run enough. And now we'll send a note to the parents and tell them that if you want your child back, then this is what you have to do. Suddenly they find people running towards the child. Oh child, oh Nimai, where were you for so long? And he says, eating sandesh, eating bananas. And those two gentlemen, these uncles, they gave it to me. And who are the people who are running towards Nimai? Jagannath Mishra, Sachi Devi, the neighbors. They had stopped right where they had begun the entire episode. They had no idea that they were doing parikrama. They had no idea that in parikrama, where you begin, that is where you end. It just happened. They were right there. And now they were flustered. How do you address this situation? They thought that things are going to be bad for them. But the little child says, "Oh, they were very sweet. They gave me a nice ride, and I was very happy." And then he runs away. So all the people there, the elders, they think that, oh, these two gentlemen, and they found our child loitering somewhere, and they brought him back. So Jagannath Mishra honored them. He gave them a certificate of appreciation. Thank you for bringing my child back. Gave them garlands, gave them a turban, shawl. He said, wait, wait, wait. And they are wanting to run away as early as possible before people come to know what was their intention. Finally, they run away. So these are the kind of activities that have been described during the Lord's childhood. Bala Leela. All right? So now we'll be going to the Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, what is Chaitanya Charitamrita? It is one of the biographies of Lord Chaitanya, written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Another biography is the Chaitanya Bhagavat. It was written by Vrindavan Das Thakur. Okay? So Kaviraj Goswami, he writes, Vyadhi chale jagadisha hiranya sadane Vishnu naivedya khaila ekadashi dine. So what words feel familiar or seem familiar? Ekadashi. Now you understand why I chose this pastime. Because yesterday was Ekadashi and I was wanting to narrate this yesterday. Okay, Ekadashi. What else? Vyadhi chale jagadisha hiranya sadane Vishnu naivedya khaila ekadashi dine. So, any words that sounds familiar? One is Ekadashi. Vishnu. What is the meaning of Vishnu? The Lord. Correct. What else? Khaila. Huh? Khaila is eat. Naivedya is offering. Good. See? Dine. That day. See, we know Bengali too. Collectively, we have deciphered at least half of this verse. Vyadhi chale. You don't, two people will not say anything. Because they are like, yeah, we know, it is our language. Blocker, okay. Vyadhi means obstruction, troubles. Correct. So there you know Vyadhi. Chale. Good. There. Jagadish Hiranya. Okay. A name. The Supreme Lord. Jagadish. Hiranya sounds familiar. So luxurious could be gold. Gold. Hiranya. Golden. Gold. Sadane. Home, house, sadan. You've heard that word before? Sadan, sadane, Bengali. Vishnu naivedya khaila ekadashi dina. There we've deciphered the verse. Now, if I told you the translation, you are like, okay, that is something was spoken. But now together we have done it. Wasn't it interesting? So, vyadhi chale, vyadhi obstruction. Vyadhi also could mean disease. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. Correct? This ease, right? Obstruction with your ease of expression. So vyadhi chale Jagadisha Hiranya Sadane, on the pretext of being unwell, something happened at the house of Jagadish and Hiranya. Okay? The reason I know that is because I know Hiranya and Jagadish are two personalities. We are not addressing the Supreme Lord here. Okay? Vishnu Naivedya Khaila. So, at the house of Jagadish and Hiranya, so most probably they live together. And it is true because they are brothers. Okay? Vishnu Naivedya. That which was offered to Lord Vishnu. Bhoga. Vishnu Naivedya. Khaila. 8. Ekadashi dine. On the day of Ekadashi. That's fun, isn't it? On the day of Ekadashi, does the Lord get served non-grain preparations, or can the Lord eat grain preparations? Lord can eat? He is super confident. What about the rest of you? You sure? Or should we tell him also you should fast? It is written in the Nectar of Devotion. He can. My next question is, should we consider that the Lord can eat, or should we consider that the Lord should eat? Grain preparations also. Should we consider that the Lord should eat grain preparations, or should we accept that the Lord can eat grain preparations? What should be our understanding? Is it should or can? You can come to my house, or you should come to my house. Is there a difference? What is the difference? Okay. So one is imperative, you should. The other is optional. Correct? So, the Lord can eat or the Lord should eat? Why? Okay, she is saying the Lord should eat. Why do you say the Lord should eat? So, is there something wrong with having non-grain preparations? All the options are open. So, is there anything wrong with, or no, I wouldn't say wrong, or is it um, comfortable to have non-grain preparations?
I think
Or having non-grain preparations is because it is a protocol?
Prabhu, when we are offering to the Lord, we should be.
No, sorry. This is for ourselves. For ourselves, do you think having non-grain preparations is because it is a protocol, or is it because we have a liking for it? Protocol? Or is there a liking for it? Like, hey, I like it. Let me have just non-grain preparations throughout. Some people, in general, I'm speaking. In general, some people always try to go in a different way, right? Yeah. So, what is it? Is it because we have a liking for it, or is it because we know we are supposed to do it? Supposed to do it. If the Lord had said on Ekadashi also you can have grain preparations, do you think we would be so gaga over just samurais? Maybe not, isn't it? Hence, should the Lord be given that which is attractive to us also? Or should we think that the Lord can take that because it is Ekadashi? So if he wants, he can have non-grain, or if he wants, he can have grain. He can do that on any other day too. But specifically on Ekadashi, because we are fasting, we know what it takes to fast. What would we want the Lord to have? To go through the same experience that we are going through, or to have fun? Have fun, right? Hence, the Lord should be served grain preparations. However, we can serve him non-grain preparations too. We can, right? However, he should be served grain preparations. Why? Because in our experience, we know that grain preparations are more likable than non-grain preparations. Therefore, we would want Krishna to have that which is likable, that which we can relate to. Otherwise, he can even live with wish poison if he wants to. But we realize that we should not be serving him that. Correct? So Ekadashi Dine, the child says, I want to eat Vishnu Naivedya. So what is he wanting to eat? Grain preparations. And there's nothing wrong in it, because according to our scripture injunctions, if you are under the age of 5, Balyavastha, rules do not apply. Alright? According to certain, okay, I won't give you the references. Sorry, otherwise I'll digress. So the rules do not apply. So it's not wrong. However, at the same time, you know how parents are? They want their child to be the purest of pure devotee right in Balyavastha. Because they feel that it is their God ordained responsibility. And it's not wrong. I'm just saying the intensity of that kind of relationship, since like a toddler has to go through that. It's very interesting. I'm not saying that you have to feed your children grain preparations like Ekadashi. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, for a child, it is all right if a child has grains. It is all right according to certain norms. So, technically speaking, if we go into technicalities, there's nothing abnormal happening here. However, because we are very emotional people, then emotionally we are like, oh, eat grains on Ekadashi. Interesting. Khailo, no? Ate. How did that happen? And what is the context? What was the story? So let us try and narrate that. So when Lord Chaitanya was growing up, people are coming up to his parents and like, oh, your child is so amazing, and are you teaching him proper manners? And oh, you're so fortunate, you get to teach such a wonderful child, and this child must be learning everything. This child is like a prodigy. So constantly people would come, they would want to interact with the child, they would want to interact with the parents, Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi. And India being India, nobody minds. Here in the West, you're like, no, these are the timings when you can visit. But in India, do you think, I mean, if if the sun rises on time, that is a big event. I'm just trying to be, I'm trying to exaggerate here. But even if the sun doesn't rise on time, we are like, yeah, the sun is rising in India, so it's all right. There must be some urgent business that the sun had to attend to. We are very accommodating as a community. We are very accommodative. Unless and until it really is a life and death situation, we accommodate things. And many a times it seems to be that we are not very, very punctual. Now that kind of understanding has come because people have tried to take undue advantage of this community consciousness. People have tried to take undue advantage of it. Like, yeah, I got late because Indian Standard Time, no? Our swabhava as a community, because we our training is like that. If typically, if we look back at the training that we received growing up in India a few generations back, let's say the previous century, let's say the 20th century, wake up, worship Mother Earth, wake up, bow down to that, wake up, go to the cow. After that, you go and do parikrama of the cow. After that, you come in, then you worship your elders, then you go to take your bath. After bath, immediately you do your puja, you go to offer. This is what was a training given, right from waking up to sleep. Everything was about this is a duty, this is what you have to perform, this is where you have to be. Everything. Last century, or maybe the century before that, things have changed now. Why? Because we feel that one piece of cloth is no longer healthy for us. So we need multiple pieces of cloth to cover our body, isn't it? So the sleeves have to be from a different cloth yarn, the front part, the back part. We have tried to see how we can be a little more innovative with the facilities that we have to enjoy. And we have stopped paying attention to certain traditions that help you be very, very focused in your goal. Correct? Learn to respect the cow, learn to respect Mother Earth, learn to respect the water, learn to respect the trees. Every single day of your life. You not just water tulsi, you have to go and water the people tree also. You have to go around the banyan tree also. You have to go and take bath in that village pond, and then after that come out and go to the Shivaling, offer water there, then go to the Radha Krishna deities of. You go to the entire world of the Lord, the devotees, everyone right there. Lord Shiva as a devotee, the pond which is represents Mother Ganga as a devotee, the people tree as a devotee, the banyan tree as a devotee, and not just that, you actually have to go even to the cow shed and worship the cow and all the animals, not just a cow. Yeah. In fact, you have to go and worship your where you make your masala. You have to go and worship the stove before you light the fire. Put kumkum there. That was the India of the previous century. Why was all of that there? Because every time we were being trained in doing our duty in life, karma, things changed. Karma is no longer important. What became important? Should I worship the cow? No, that you can do later on. Right now, it is very important. Just study. Make a career. Study, make a career, study, make a career. What has it led to? There's no connection to earth, there's no connection to water, there's no connection to the trees. Now we have to be a part of a go green movement. We have to be a part of save the water movement. We have to be the part of save the soil movement. We have to be a part of the community gatherings where you have how to be good parents, how to have good relationship between husbands and wives, counseling. Why? Because now we are educated enough to deal with all of this. Previously, we did not have to deal with this because we are trained enough to worship everything that is around us. Now we are educated enough. Not that education is wrong. However, there are certain cultural aspects that help you focus on your duties as a human being. If every time you put your feet on earth after waking up, every time you enter, every time you take a mug of water or you go under the shower and you go Har Har Gange, do you think we'll be feeling very, very comfortable polluting the water? Do you think we'll be comfortable wasting water? No. Because when we do that day in and day out, there is a bond that is created, a strong bond of affection, a relationship. We know the Ganga is, maybe she's flowing 20 kilometers, but every time you take a mug of water, you just say Har Har Gange. Why? That is what they trained you to do since you were a child growing up. Now today, Har Har Gange has to be learnt in ISKCON, uh, Gopal Fun School things. And what does a child learn growing up? Alphabets. What kind of alphabets? Alphabets would teach you that D is a donkey. They have no idea where a donkey is, except online, but D is a donkey. You have to learn, you have to say good morning, good afternoon, thank you, you're welcome. All of these interactions are non contact. Did you ever realize this? All of these interactions are non contact. Now, maybe it helps you stay away from contagious diseases. Maybe that's possible. However, when relationships which are based on exchange of some physical intimacy, someone's hand touching your hand, someone's hand on your head, someone's hand on your shoulder or patting you, that the body needs that, because there is a kind of, it stimulates certain uh, kind of metabolism within you. Just as when you see food, already the digestive process begins. Similarly, a touch of that kind, safe touch, it brings in a feeling of being secure. You know that whatever happens today, I have this hand which will give me shelter. I'm sheltered under this hand. Now, do you, when somebody says good morning, have a great day, would you get that kind of a feeling? Very difficult. How are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. It's good. There is some interaction. Add to that a handshake. Add to that certain gestures that make you feel secure, make you feel protected. Can a handshake do that? All the world leaders, they don't go beyond a handshake. The Prime Minister of India, he just goes and gives a hug. Everyone. It is called as his diplomacy. At one point of time, there were so many memes on it. Today, people think that that is very good policy. Yeah. So training. Lord Gauranga, everyone would come. The entire community. Not that they neglected their children. Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi would also deal affectionately with all the other children. Like little Nimaya had friends. Mother Sachi would give them sweets when they come. In fact, it is said that right from a young age, Gadadhar and Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya and Gadadhar Pandit, they were like brothers. They would like always together. Because it's a biography, only a few um, interactions are going to be narrated. So very close. So they asked Jagannath Mishra. So when are you going to start teaching him the aksharas, the alphabets? Jagannath Mishra said, do you think it's a good time? He said, yes, yes, this is a very good time, right age. So Jagannath Mishra said, should I just take one of those aptitude tests for my child? They said, no need. We think this is the right time for the child to learn the alphabets. So they taught him the alphabets. He picked it up. Everyone is very excited, very happy. Oh, the child is really, absorbing all that is being taught. So now they started teaching him words. First, you know the aksharas, you know the alphabets, then you learn words. And then you learn conjunctions, conjunct words, combination of words. So first you teach them A and then B and C. When they know that, then you teach them what is as, what is am. And then you teach them I am going. What does that mean? So he was very quick to learn all of that. Very quick. As soon as he was able to form sentences, the fun began. What was the fun? Kaviraj Goswami. Oh no, this is Chaitanya Bhagavat. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur writes, Akashe udiya jai, pakshi taha chahe, na paila kandiya dhulai godi jai. Godi jai, sorry, not godi jai. Na paile kandiya dhulai godi jai. He would see birds flying in the sky and he would say, I want that. Because he can form sentences now. I want those birds. Bring them down. And they would say, oh child, that is not possible. And he'd say, why is that not possible? And he start throwing a tantrum. So previously he'd throw a tantrum, but he could not express it. No words. So they would like, oh, what is happening? Maybe the child is hungry. Maybe the child, oh, do you want that child? Do you want this child? Now he's very expressive. What he wants is very difficult to get. Sometimes you'd look at the stars in the night and says, I want that. During the day, he would look at the sun and say, bring it down. And they're like, we can't do it. And then you throw a tantrum. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he takes this very simple pastime of the Lord, this interaction, and he says, this is very instructive. He says, the author is not only presenting a very sweet interaction of the Lord, is also presenting a very interactive or very instructive interaction of the Lord. What is the instruction herein? The Lord is wanting to tell all of us who are here and others outside that this is how you spend your entire life. Always wanting things that are very difficult to achieve, and for that you have to work so hard, and many a times out of 10 things you may be able to achieve 6 and 4 you never get. But the demand never stops. This inclination never stops. Give me that. And someone says, hey, not now, you don't have the resources. Tantrum. Sometimes such tantrums are considered to be that which motivates you to achieve higher. It's good. Nonetheless, it's still a tantrum. Yes. So you're like, oh, I could not, I wanted it, but I could not achieve it. Now I will work hard to get to what I need. I mean, these ambitions are so flimsy. You could not have that, and now you want to work hard enough to achieve that. And what would happen after that? After that, I don't know. I've achieved it. I have to have a new tantrum now. True? So many of you, simple, some of you are masked up, right? Your own personal mask. How many of you have been using that mask for quite some time, or do you have a new mask every time? You reuse? Do you really reuse, especially these blue masks? That is possible. See, I haven't, all we have done is we have breathed into it. Whatever contaminants there are not going to infect us, but still disposable. And for that, what do we need to do? Work hard. Is it all right to reuse it? Perfectly all right. Even from the, even if you take it from the, what do you say, the medical point of view, what is wrong in reusing your own mask? Tell me. Do you have to wash it to reuse it? Unless until you kind of contaminated, you put it somewhere here or there, then you may need to wash it. Because if that were the case, then we'd have to really wash our entire, clean our system. You're not able to do that. However, we can afford to do that. Why? We are making money. The external surface of the mask will have contaminants. Internal surface will not. Now, if the external surface of the mask can have contaminants, then you have to be masked up everywhere. Why? Because the contaminants are there in the atmosphere. Do you do that? No. Only come masked up when there is a crowd that you are not regularly interacting with. What about your shirt? What about your pant? What about your hands? What about your hair? You dispose this off. Do you go and take a bath? You do this. If there is contamination on the external surface of the mask, when you touch your head, those contaminants are there too. You just do that, and if the contaminants are there, you do that, and you rub your face, done. If that cloth can get contaminated, even this cloth can get contaminated. Are we following that norm anymore? Every time you go out, wash your hands, change your clothes. No. But it's easy to dispose of the masks, although we are paying for it. It's not as easy to dispose of your clothes. The point is, this is just a small example. There's so many things like that in life. So many things that we accumulate, throw, 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 throw. And life simply goes on doing that. And then suddenly, every day in the morning, we realize, okay, 2 hours of chanting, and that is going to purify my consciousness. This childish mentality we retain throughout our life. What is a childish mentality? I see that, I want it. I see that, I want it. I see that, I want it. We all have Alexa or Google at home. Hey Google, Alexa, after 2 or 3 months, if Alexa could express, if Alexa would have sentiments, Alexa would say that, I'm in depression, you're neglecting me. Because when you invited me in this house, every time, hey Alexa, how's the weather outside? Hey Alexa, where am I? Hey Alexa, how are you? Hey Alexa, I like you. Other, you have it, it's a new thing you want to play with. So Google has come up with immersive maps now. The new innovation. Immersive maps. Why? I want more. The tantrum business is still going on. So they know that this business is there, this inclination is there. They create a market for that. Or rather, they create products within the marketplace. They or you, all of us, isn't it? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that the instruction is we can never ever get all that we want, thinking that I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. We can never do that. So we need to have certain people who are wise enough who tell us you cannot have that. So just relax. We need to have such instructions. We need to have access to somebody or some teachings that help us realize you cannot have. Give up this childish mentality. Be a little more mature. So, what is maturity? Maturity is if I am giving up my childish mentality, okay, I want this, then I have to fill it up with some activity where it is healthy for my consciousness. So we have to retrain ourselves, worship the earth, look at her as Dhara, the consort of the Lord. Air, look at it as Vayudev, the devotee of the Lord. The mountains, because Krishna says that in the universal form, he is this great mountains. We have to re-establish relationship with all of these things. These things are so massive. You'll never feel that you want it. Most probably you'll feel that you want to be with them. You'd want to offer yourself to them. And the day this is how, when we start offering ourselves to that which is beyond us, that is where we become mature. Whenever we want to fill ourselves in, we create all the more, we create more and more needs within us. But when we start giving, that is when we realize that we have more than enough. That is why we can share. And when you actually learn to share, that is when you realize you don't need any more because you have. And when you understand that you have, your mind is pacified. To know this, to have this understanding, you'll have to pay $250 and go to some seminar. Where for 7 days, they'll tell you, keep away your phone, don't look at your email, keep quiet, just do certain mechanical activities, because those mechanical activities break the chain that you are caught up in. Mauna, don't speak much. Meditation, breathe on your air. It breaks your dependency on all these external factors that you have created. And then you pay $250 or $2,500 for it. So Lord Chaitanya, he said that. Oh, give me this. They said, you cannot have it. You throw a tantrum. And then they would say, hey, what about this thing? And a child is like, yeah, that is what I want. So they would give him some sandesh or they would give him something to play with. And he would be happy. There was another trait that he started displaying as a child. It would appear that he was very whimsical, but Sometimes he would not be satisfied with an alternative. He would not be satisfied with it. So he would keep on crying. So not having any other resource, the elders would start clapping their hands. And they would say, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then the child would stop crying. So the elders realized this takes such minimum efforts. We don't have to put our extra energy, or we don't have to spend much money. When they realized this, most of the times when the child would be crying out, they start clapping their hands and start chanting Hare Krishna. Hari Hari, Hare Krishna, and the child would stop crying and would start smiling. The elders understood this, but actually Lord Chaitanya realized that he had properly trained them. So whenever he felt that they hadn't done their sufficient chanting, proper chanting, he would start crying. And as soon as he would start crying, they would go, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And he would be blissful. This particular day, Ekadashi Dine, he did not stop crying. So now everyone is helpless. The entire neighborhood news spread. Sachi's son is not stopping crying. Everyone came in, his friends came in, the elders came in, the neighbors, everyone was there. Child, stop crying, don't worry. Here, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Some of them started dancing. He still not stopped crying. So finally, somebody asked, what is it, child? What can we give you? Please let us know. He said, in the house of Jagadish and Hiranya, they have prepared wonderful feast today. And they are making an offering to Lord Vishnu. If I don't have that offering, if you don't give me that to eat, then I will die. And if you really want to save me, immediately make arrangements. When Mother Sachi hears this, she goes, what kind of child is this? Sometimes mothers are like, they feel so helpless. They're like, how is it possible? Today's Ekadashi. You're not supposed to eat grains. And plus, this is in somebody else's house. Like, what is wrong with our house? He says, like, you did not make an offering. He said, we made to the Lord. No. That feast offering. I know this feast offering. I want that feast offering. Otherwise, I'll die. So finally, they convinced Jagannath Mishra, please go to the house of Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit. So they go to the house of Jagadish. Jagannath Mishra, he goes to the house of Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit. Now, according to certain narrations, Srila Prabhupada also writes, he takes little Nimai, takes Lord Chaitanya with him too. Now, Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit live a couple of miles away. So he has to take his crying child there. They reach the door, the house, and knock on the door. Jagadish opens the door. He's like, oh, Jagannath Mishra, please come, because they're very good friends. Please come in. He says, I'm embarrassed. However, there is a problem. What is it? My child, he'll explain the problem. The little Nimai says, I want all the offering that you made to the Supreme Lord, to your deity. Jagadish looks at Hiranya and Hiranya looks at Jagadish, and they are thinking, this little child, how does he even know that we have made a feast? We did not tell anyone. No one in the entire world knows what we have done. We did not express to any person in this world, including our neighbors, including our relatives, we did not express to them whether today we are making a feast to be offered to a deity. How did this child know 2 miles away? They asked Jagannath Mishra, did you know? He said, how would I know? Did you tell me? Does anyone know? They said, no, no one knows. He said that there is a feast and that is how we have come here, hoping that there is a feast so that he can keep quiet. So they are like, this child is most probably. See, typically people who have faith, no, they immediately think that the Supreme Lord has come in that form. Yes? Has it happened to you? Like, now somebody brings to you an object that you really, really desire, and you're like, oh, Krishna is really working through you. Happened? Yeah. That has been a genetic mutant since so many generations. This kind of reciprocation. Hiranya Pandit is like, this Gopal has manifested through this child. In fact, somewhere they are wondering, is this child Gopal himself? And they're like, the two brothers, somehow or the other, they are having similar feelings. They are thinking that we are okay with this idea if this child is Gopal. And then Jagannath Mishra says, and he wants to eat all of the grains, and he's like, that's okay. A child can have grains, no problem. They give all of that offering to Lord Chaitanya, and he, that little child, eats a little bit from every single bowl. All of the preparation. It was a huge feast. He eats from every single bowl. And Jagdish and Hiranya Pandit are very, very, very ecstatic. They don't know why. Lord Chaitanya says, okay, tata, bye bye. I'm done. I had my feast. I'm leaving. He leaves. Many years later, when Lord Chaitanya had grown up into a young scholar, one day he's just sitting with Jagdish and Hiranya Pandit, and he tells Jagdish Pandit, who's married, has a wife Dukhini, he tells them, especially Jagdish Pandit, he says, you should go to Jagannath Puri. He says, yes, there is Lord Jagannath. No, you should go there and you should stay there for some time. Teach people about, you know, about devotional service. He accepts that. He goes to Jagannath Puri, lives there for some time, becomes very attached to Lord Jagannath. And after a few months, he has to come back. So when he's on his way back, he feels separation from Lord Jagannath. Intense separation from Lord Jagannath. Kind of separation that most of us would not feel. He's like, why am I leaving Jagannath Puri? Why did I even think of returning back? I think I should just go back again. But he couldn't go back because he has to return. So that kind of separation. Lord Jagannath appears to him in a dream. And he says, you come back to Jagannath Puri and you bring me with you to Mayapur. He said, bring you? How is that possible? He says, bring me. Carry me from there to here. He says, my dear Lord, you are in the temple there. He says, yeah, but you can bring me here. He said, how can I bring you there? Nobody will let you go. He said, well, there is a plan. Within a few days, the Navakalevar ceremony is there, where the deity's forms are changed. A new form is designed from special wood, and then there is a process by which this new form now replaces the previous form, and the previous form is put into samadhi. Samadhisht Jagannath or Swarupa. So he says, this time I will not take samadhi. This time I'll come with you. So you go back. So he goes back. He believes the Lord, he goes back. Now, for this deal to happen, the Lord also has to appear in someone else's dream. And he does that. He appears in the dream of the king of Jagannath Puri. He tells him, my devotee is coming. Don't put me into samadhi. When you have a new deity form, you give this form to that devotee. So the king said, just you, my dear Lord? He said, yeah, just me. So he comes to Jagannath Puri. The king welcomes him. The king says, I know what has to be done. Please take this form. So he takes that form. Well, it wasn't that easy. Jagannath is very heavy. So he sits down in front of Jagannath and he says, oh Jagannath, you are too heavy. Either you have to make me Bahubali or you have to find a way I can carry you. Jagannath says, I found a way. He says, how? Jagannath says, don't worry, just bring a staff, a stick, and tie me up to one end of the stick. And pick up the stick and carry me. Your weight, my dear Lord. I can't wait anymore. So you don't worry about weight, my weight. You take me. So he gets a stick. Makes the arrangement to tie up Lord Jagannath to one end of the stick. And to his amazement, Lord Jagannath is as light as feather. He gets tied up to that end of the stick. He says, this is the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Brahman. People who know how to worship him, I have to request them that they may carry the Lord so that they can every day worship the Lord, offer food to the Lord. I'm not trained in this. So he requests two Brahmanas who were worshipping Lord Jagannath, who were, involved in the worship of Lord Jagannath. He asked them, can you please come with us, assist me, and I will take care of all your needs. Brahmanas are simple people. If they get an opportunity to worship the Lord, they are more than happy. They said, yes, we'll come with you. They would take turns carrying the Lord. And Jagdish Pandit would try to see along the way that he could get all the ingredients that was necessary to worship the Lord. So everyone was doing their part. When they started off from Jagannath Puri, Lord Jagannath said, I have a condition. I'm coming along with you. However, if you place me down on the earth at any place, then I'll stay right there and not go ahead. So he said, all right, my dear Lord, your condition is accepted. So they walked most of the distance from Jagannath Puri to Mayapur. And they came to a place known as Chakkada. It was actually Chakrada. Daha means gone. So many years ago, many thousands of years ago, Bhagirath Maharaj was following Gangaji's flow on his chariot. His chariot wheel got stuck there. Chakra, Chakkada. There, it was a time for the morning ablutions. They reached there sometime early morning. So he said, let me go and take my bath and do my prayers. One of the Brahmanas stood holding that. He and the other Brahmana went to take bath in the Ganga. This Brahman started feeling the weight increase. Jagannath was becoming heavier. After some time, he couldn't hold him anymore. So he put him down. So, in the town of Chokkada, where there is a small gram, a village known as Jashra, Jagannath stayed there. And Jagadish Pandit said, since my lord, my dear lord, you are staying here, I am also moving my residence. So he and his wife started living there. They would worship the Lord under a banyan tree, Bhattabriksha, a banyan tree. And one day the king of Krishna Nagar, the local king there, he said, oh, so many people are coming to worship Jagannath. He made a temple for Lord Jagannath. And even today, that darshan of Lord Jagannath is there in the very same place where he stayed. This is one of the original forms of Lord Jagannath from Jagannath Puri. So the wife of Jagadish Pandit would again and again remember Lord Chaitanya. Why? Because she had seen him grow up. She was very attached to him, like so many other elderly ladies, very, very attached. She was, she loved him like her own son. So she was very much, she had not seen Lord Gauranga for a long time. So she spent so many nights crying just by herself. That how's Gauranga? Where is he? I would all love to see him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas by that time. So one day he just came to their place. She saw him for the first time after sannyas. She was shocked. Immediately she, took him on her lap and why did this happen? How did this happen? Are you okay? She's like showering all her affection on him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was simply receiving all of her affection. She fed him properly and then she kind of accepted that she's taken sannyas. She said, please stay here. Let me take care of you. So Lord Gauranga lived there for a few days. Finally he said, I'm a sannyasi. I have to follow all the rules and regulations of a sannyasi. I have to leave. She said, can't you stay? He said, no, I have to leave. So as he was leaving, she fell down unconscious. She was practically lifeless. Lord Gauranga stopped. He touched her head and took her hands in his hand. She came back to consciousness and she was crying tears. She said, I cannot live without seeing you. So Lord Gauranga said, all right. He manifested a deity of Krishna playing a flute in a golden form. And he said, this is me. This is not different from me. This is Gaur Gopal. So she spent the rest of her life with that deity, taking care of the deity along with Lord Jagannath. So if you ever go to Chokkada, please visit the temple. It's not very far from Mayapur. Couple of hours drive. And ask them to show you that staff on which Lord Jagannath came all the way from Jagannath Puri. Have the beautiful darshan. So we'll stop here. The entire narration started off with Lord Chaitanya wanting to eat the Naivedya, the offerings to the deity of Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit on the day of Ekadashi. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yes, Prabhu.
So is the Lord Jagannath Hare Krishna? So is the Lord Jagannath being worshipped there with Baldev and Mother Subhadra or just by
He's
himself?
just Lord Jagannath is there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I think a more politically correct answer would be that Baladev and Subhadra are in unmanifest form. So it is just Lord Jagannath we can only have his visual darshan there. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Prabhu, you
Krishna.
touched upon the aspect of the touch that is missing. So, Prabhu, what was the manifestation of touch? Because so far, at least in my perception, it is we were folding hands and we were still far away and we were still not touching. So, what was the manifestation of touch?
The consciousness that flows in the conditioned state of life when we have a body of flesh and blood. So the consciousness that flows through this body. Right now, my body is touching this. Your body is, your thighs and your a certain part of your body is touching the wall and touching the floor. It it helps you feel secure. It helps you feel safe. The physical nature of the body is that the senses, when they interact with the sense objects, then there is some experience that you go through. Now, when we try to rise above this interaction, then we'll feel secure in all circumstances. We'll feel safe. We'll feel comfortable in all circumstances. Right? Let's suppose you're on a flight and then you sit on your seat. One of the first reactions is like, okay, is this comfortable or not? Why is that? If it were a little awkward, what would we generally do? We'd like to, tell someone about it and see if that can be adjusted or not. Why? Because you don't feel safe. As soon as it is comfort, we feel safe. The reason is we only feel safe with ourselves, not with anyone else. So the sense of touch, which is the largest organ that is there that we have, it helps us in the conditioned state have that feeling of safety, have that feeling of security. As soon as I'm sitting on this chair, on this cushion becomes a part of me. Before that, the cushion is different from me. Anything that happens to this cushion affects me when I'm sitting on it. Just as anything that happens to my hand affects me. Therefore, in the tradition of renunciates, they're not supposed to stay in one place for a long time, otherwise they'll get attached to that place. It's just a matter of time. The sense of touch innocuously, it kind of in the background it works like that. All right. So in certain cultures, they understand this. They understand the concept of what is known as, which today we call as safe touch, and we distinguish it from unsafe touch. So all those interactions, they give you that that sense of being secure, of safe, of comforted, of being protected. As soon as you have that sense of being protected or safe, the mind is pacified. What is important is that the mind stay pacified. Okay, so hence all those traditions were there. And then, as we said, in today's world, because of the pandemic that we went through, we realized that how important it is to keep distance also. So in those traditions, there's also the understanding of distance. They always would have, if you see someone, if somebody gives you an embrace, they would be taking also bath 3 times a day. They knew that if they interact with someone outside, they also have to be clean. Before you enter the house, where people who have not been exposed to the environment that you have been exposed to, they'll have some water, they'll have a piece of cloth. And if needed, even if You may be visiting someone as a guest. Sometimes they may offer you a fresh set of clothes too. So in that kind of culture, even from the point of view of what if there's a pandemic, still the other aspects of how you deal or how you function keeps you safe as far as possible, even from the medical point of view, health point of view, and also gives you the benefit of feeling secure because of the safe touch kind of interaction. Is that all right? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, bro. Thank you so much for a wonderful class. One thought that got triggered when we were discussing about Ekadashi and grain-free prasad. We know that consuming grains on Ekadashi is sinful, right? And also, like generally, when we are fasting, should we not then offer someone who's not
Let
observing
us say,
Ekadashi?
when we say it is sinful, I think maybe we are emphasizing a lot on the word sinful.
Right, but it's not. Okay.
Let's suppose you are sick,
Yeah.
then it's all right.
Yeah.
So there are certain conditions under which you can have grains,
Right.
and it wouldn't be sinful. It won't be
Right.
accumulating sinful reactions.
Sure.
However, consciously we try to dedicate that day. It's called as Hari Vasara. The day is dedicated to Lord Hari. So we cut down on our eating, sleeping, and the bodily activities. So one day by cutting down is trying to minimize what we are, how we express our liking in the terms of food.
Sure.
So we eat food that is bland.
Yeah. My question was, I was just going by textbook, like we read on Ekadashi, it's sinful. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you, But my question is, should we then not offer? We say that, okay, someone is not observing Ekadashi, we can give them grain prasadam. So I have like two questions. So one is like, if we do that, then are we not like part of, at least not offers a living entity? I know they're anyway going to have the grain, but let me not bear the karma for that. And second question, Prabhu, is again regarding Ekadashi. Yes, Prabhu. Now the are we swaying away from the spirit of Ekadashi when we actually have something called Ekadashi feast? We have Ekadashi special, like people say we have Ekadashi menu, which is like and honestly speaking, frankly speaking, Prabhu, if every day was Ekadashi, it would not really impact my life. I like eating quinoa, and there's enough things that are there, grain-free things. There are people who are surviving, and in general, like in devotee setting, let's say, and I sorry for having a negative attitude towards it. I myself am very, I think I'm part of problem here. So it's not that I'm accusing any devotee or anything, but in devotee association, whenever we are there, we should be like encouraged to do certain sort of a austerity, right? Sab tapasya. We are here, hearing together. Similarly, when we are observing Ekadashi, if there is Ekadashi feast, like really nice sweets there, paneer is there, and what else do you need, right? It's as good as non Ekadashi or Ekadashi. Doesn't actually make me do any austerity, right? So should we not like encourage that fact that okay, it's Ekadashi, let's not do the feasting part of it, let's try to like keep it minimal. And there are people who go nirjala, great devotees are there, and some people with medical conditions, they cannot do that, right? That is acceptable again, as part of sinful. But should we not be encouraging that, at least especially in like devotee close associations, that we're not propagating this idea of Ekadashi feast? How it kind of beats me.
Okay.
Because we have Ekadashi cake also, which is very nice. Can just sorry. Thank you, bro.
Yes. Ekadashi or even regular days where we are eating grains, we are we are eating food as prasad because it helps us control the urge of the tongue. If by eating prasad the urge of the tongue is not being controlled, then the purpose is lost. Not only on Ekadashi should we not overeat, on other days also we should not overeat. We should eat that which is in healthy amounts. Do we need a norm for it? Having a norm is helpful, having certain regulations is helpful. However, this is more to do with good health. If the body is healthy, the mind is peaceful. If the body is not healthy, the mind won't stay peaceful. If the mind is peaceful, then we can be meditative. It's simple. That is the purpose. All right. So, should we kind of have discussions on what kind of prasad or simple prasad should be on Ekadashi? Should we extend the discussion to how even on other days it should be simple? Or can we again try to focus on Jivha Vegam? What would it take for me to control my urge of eating palatable dishes? I don't want to eat unpalatable dishes. But my urge, I can have a liking. However, an urge is that which is, it is like a magnified form of, or let us say it is a really dangerous form of liking. Yeah? It's okay. So that is what is an urge. Urge is where you are not, your mind cannot be in a peaceful state. The mind has to be agitated. That is what an urge, a vega. No, vega maryada in India, that word vega means speed or high speed basically. That which is not within your control. So we have to be able to control that urge. We have to find ways how we can do it in this very lifetime as early as possible. So now we figure out how to do it. Yeah. Quinoa came in as an alternative because we need to eat something that can replace rice or dal. That is how it came in as an alternative, isn't it? So if we are going to have alternatives replacing that which we over eat, then we are going to be overeating even on Ekadashi. If on the other days we learn to eat that which is necessary, that which we need, then on Ekadashi also we'll do the same thing. So essentially, if we can cultivate a regular habit of being satisfied with what we eat rather than hankering or increasing our hankering for that which we want to eat, then there is a possibility that the mind can be peaceful. We can always indulge occasionally, it is all right. Material world, there are going to be circumstances where things go up and down, that is okay. So it is not that right now we are on one end of the spectrum, therefore by controlling our senses we go to the other end of the spectrum. That is not necessary. So occasional indulgences can be there. However, on a regular basis, the graph should not fluctuate much in terms of, since we are discussing just eating. So there shouldn't be much fluctuation in the graph. Oh, okay, that part. Whether can we offer grains to others? Um, Prasad is always pure, always. Even if we, even if we eat prasad, it is not going to be sinful. However, when we eat prasad, we know that on Ekadashi we should try and not eat grains. So that brings in a sense of hypocrisy within us. Prasad can never be sinful. No? Prasad is always pure. So if you are offering it to others also, it is purifying for them. However, if we think that there could be some reactions because, if the people that we are offering to, they feel that, oh, today is Ekadashi and still you are offering me Ekadashi, so why are you doing this? Offering me grains on Ekadashi. If there could be, repercussions like that, then there are 8 million species of life. No, 0.4 million is human species. So there are 8 million species of life that are not subjected to the law of karma. We can offer them. All right? We can always offer them to other humans also. However, if some of them know about Ekadashi and they come back to us that, hey, you're offering us grains, how is that? Will you eat that? So to avoid situations like that, then we can just offer them to the other 8 million species of life. All right? You're welcome. Hare Krishna. Stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
I was gonna play Mridanga for someone else can sing.
शरीरा विद्याचाल जरेंद्रिया तुमेका जीवे पेले विषय सागरे ममते जीवायति लोभमसुधर्मते थाके जेथा कठिन संसारे कृष्ण बर दयामय करिबारे जीवाजा प्रसादन्न दिलभा शय्यान्नमृतपा राधा कृष्ण को नगाओ प्रेमे डाको श्री चैतन्य नीता प्रेमे डाको श्री चैतन्य नीता महाप्रसादे गोविंदे नमो ब्रह्मणे वैष्णवे स्वल्पपुन्नमतं राजन् विश्वासनय भजा शहदे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरसपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसो यस्य श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी महाप्रसादम की प्लीज ऑनर महाप्रसाद We thank Achyut Kumar Prabhu, Achyut Chaitanya Prabhu and Manjari Gopika Mataji to kindly host the program. And we do have a program tomorrow at our home, 4602 Harwood Road, down the street. You are all welcome to join. Hare Krishna.